Hi, my name is Bryn Kane, and today I'm going to be talking about the correlation of media and negative body image through a symbolic interactionist lens. Now, what exactly does the term body image refer to? The National Eating Disorders Association defines it as the thoughts, perceptions, attitudes, feelings, and behaviors around one's physical appearance. It also includes how one senses and controls their body as they move, and how one physically experiences one's body. Deriving from the media lens, the idyllic image of the female body is one of slenderness, while for males it is muscular and fit. Now, nonconformity to these standards is associated with an abundance of negative connotations, such as laziness, undesirableness, etc. Struggles with body image has become an increasingly prevalent matter in today's society. Research estimates that 69 to 84% of women report being unhappy with their bodies, largely due to societal pressure to appear small, feminine, and ideal. And while body image issues are often stereotyped as a female problem, they affect men at a significant rate too. About 10 to 30% of men struggle with body dissatisfaction, but this number is likely much higher because many men avoid reporting these struggles due to the stigma and pressure to appear masculine. In today's world, social media plays a major role in shaping how people see their bodies. Over the past few decades, online activity has exploded, with time spent online increasing by about 50% since 1990. In 2019, researchers found that 3.7 billion people were active social media users, which was almost half the global population at the time. And 6 years later, as technology has become even more embedded in everyday life, especially for teens, this number has only grown. This matters because adolescents ages 13 to 18 are not only the heaviest users of these platforms, they're also the most vulnerable to the effects of online beauty standards. The prefrontal cortex is still developing during this age, which means they are more sensitive to social comparison, peer feedback, and online validation. So, the constant exposure to idealized images online can shape their self-esteem, their sense of identity, and how they feel about their bodies. Now, this ideal of what acceptable bodies should look like constructs extremely unrealistic beauty standards amongst susceptible individuals who consume social media. Figures of high influence promote beauty standards that are unattainable, often because they're achieved through accessible Photoshop apps such as Facetune, a mobile app that makes altering your online appearance extremely accessible. Studies have revealed that at least 71% of individuals who post on social media edit their photos using the app. With constant consumption of trends such as fitspiration and body checking online, young people constantly feel the need to conform to these unrealistic standards, often reverting to unhealthy eating habits. When influencers are excessively praised online for their appearance, individuals feel that if they look the same, they'll earn the same level of glorification in return. The correlation between the development of disordered eating and social media use has been proven to be extremely high in numerous studies. 5% of young females are affected by eating disorders, and if the statistics of males and females of all ages are also taken into account, we'd see the percentage increase exponentially. Within the past years, more trends tied to appearance, such as what I eat in a day videos, often glorify and normalize under-eating to maintain the ideal petite feminine figure. So, the reason sociologists care about and delve into this problem is because body image is much more of a social construct than a personal feeling. Our perceptions and ideas of what it means to be beautiful or normal come from the media we consume, the cultures we grow up in, and the individuals that surround us. Today, social media has become one of the most powerful institutions of socialization. It doesn't just show us images, but also teaches us how to interpret them. By this, I'm referring to the likes, comments, and praise that are rewarded to only certain appearances or bodies. And that subtly tells people what kinds of appearances are truly valued in our current society. Over time, those messages shape our identity and our sense of worth, which can be extremely detrimental to one's mental well-being. What many people don't think about is the deeper social inequalities underlying this issue. Beauty standards don't operate the same way for everyone, privileging certain bodies and marginalizing others. Beauty standards still center around thinness, Eurocentric features, and youthful femininity. This is why we see such a large emphasis on skincare and makeup products that are promoted to keep women from visibly aging. Meanwhile, bodies that don't fit these expectations often experience more scrutiny, harassment, or even complete erasure. People of color are pressured to conform to Eurocentric features because those features are consistently presented as the norm, causing stigma and devaluation. In the same way, gender norms push women towards being small, delicate, and aesthetically pleasing, while men are pressured to be muscular and lean. And when someone doesn't match those expectations, they're more likely to be labeled as undesirable, unhealthy, or unfit. Even algorithms on social media reinforce these inequalities. Platforms tend to promote faces and bodies that match mainstream ideals, meaning they're literally coding beauty biases into the system. That gives some groups more visibility and social capital, while pushing others into the margins. So the pressure to meet these standards is uneven. Some people receive constant reinforcement, while others are fighting an uphill battle just to feel acceptable. So for sociologists, this isn't just about self-esteem, but about how social forces influence behavior, relationships, and ultimately how people come to understand themselves. It's a reflection of the larger structure of our culture. Moving forward, I want to introduce the theoretical lens I'm using for this project. At its core, symbolic interactionism, created by George Herbert Mead, is a theory about how people make meaning through interaction, honing in on individual or micro-level perspectives. We assign meaning to symbols, images, gestures, labels, and social cues, and those meanings guide how we see ourselves and how we behave. And then, when we apply this to one's perception of body image from the media, it becomes really clear that beauty isn't a natural or fixed idea, but something we learn. We learn it through conversations with peers, through comments and reactions, and increasingly through what we see online. Social media has become one of the biggest places where these meanings are created and repeated. Every like, filter, and every perfect image reinforces the idea of what beauty is supposed to be. And because symbolic interactionism focuses on micro-level interactions, it helps explain why these tiny everyday moments online can have such a significant impact on someone's self-concept. Constant scrolling on the web is constant exposure to meaning about what's attractive, what's normal, and what's acceptable. So overall, symbolic interactionism gives us a way to understand how and why beauty standards affect body image. People aren't just looking at pictures. They're learning how to interpret those pictures, and they're learning what those pictures say about them. It's a process of meaning making that shapes how individuals see their own bodies in relation to the social world. The constant societal pressure to conform to a certain bodily ideal has been ingrained for centuries. Historically, a woman's body wasn't just about appearance, and functions as kind of a social currency in patriarchal societies. Beauty standards were also shaped largely by male desire, marriageability, and cultural expectations, so women were pushed to mold their bodies to match whatever the dominant ideal of the time was. These ideals were built on social values, cultural beliefs, and the technologies available. As a result, women's sense of self often became restricted. Their bodies had to become a kind of social body, shaped to reflect what the culture wanted rather than what was healthy or natural. You can see this clearly in eras like Victorian England, where women used corsets to physically sculpt themselves into the ideal hourglass figure. Wearing a corset wasn't really optional at the time if you wanted any sort of respectability and femininity, even though it caused serious health issues like fainting, breathing problems, and even bone deformation. But despite all of that, women still wore them because the beauty ideal held so much social power. This was also seen in the Tang Dynasty, where the King Ling of the state of Chu, who preferred women with narrow waists so much that many people of the court starved themselves to death. Body ideals in the Tang Dynasty then flipped into idolizing more plump and full figures, which signified wealth, as they were visibly able to afford more food. These shifting trends of what is and isn't socially acceptable still occur in current society. In the 90s and early 2000s, there was a huge societal emphasis on the heroin chic body type, which was a problematic term used to describe the thin body ideal in the 90s. In the 2010s, we saw a complete shift, idolizing again more plump, fuller figures. This shift was shaped by highly visible figures like the Kardashian family, whose bodies were treated as cultural blueprints. And again, because bodies carry social meaning, people read that shape as a symbol of empowerment, attractiveness, and status. But in the past few years, we're seeing a concerning slide back towards the ultra-thin ideals. Fashion media, TikTok trends, celebrity weight loss, and the return of low-rise jeans have all revived the early 2000s aesthetic. And because social media is now a 24/7 meaning-making environment, these shifts spread much faster and affect much more people. The important sociological takeaway is that none of these bodies reflect what's natural or universally desired. They're constructed through cultural values, media imagery, and social interaction. And every time the ideal changes, people, especially women, are expected to change their bodies to match it. A 2022 study found that the exposure to idealized bodies on social media significantly increases body dissatisfaction within minutes, which shows how quickly these trends shape self-worth. So historically, body ideals have always shifted with the culture, and women have been expected to reshape themselves to match whatever the trend is. Today's trends, whether it's the Kardashian hourglass look or the resurgence of the heroin chic, are just modern versions of the same social pressure. Now, I'll talk about some proposed solutions to help dissolve this problem. First is media literacy education. One major finding from Tigman and Slater's 2017 study is that media literacy training significantly reduces body dissatisfaction in adolescence. When young people learn to question edited photos, filters, and unrealistic bodies, they're less likely to internalize the thin ideal. So, bringing media literacy into schools is one of the strongest evidence-based tools we have. Next, we have diverse and body-positive representation. A recent 2024 meta-analysis found that exposure to body-positive content, meaning images of different body shapes, sizes, and appearances, actually improves body satisfaction and emotional well-being, even after short exposure. This tells us that changing what people see online can genuinely shift how they feel about their own bodies. Another solution would be platform accountability. Social media companies can require creators to label heavily edited images or restrict content like thinspiration or extreme dieting. The research shows that these types of images amplify body dissatisfaction, so reducing exposure really does matter. We also need stronger mental health support, especially for teens who are already struggling. And finally, influencer accountability can help reduce the constant reinforcement of unrealistic standards. Influencers play a huge role in meaning making online, so encouraging more responsible posting can really make a difference. Overall, the mix of education, better representation, regulation, mental health resources, and influencer responsibility really do work together as solutions. And importantly, all of them are backed by peer-reviewed research. Alright, and here are my citations. Thank you so much for listening.